Hello everyone, welcome to the Munch and Move Staff Development Kit. And welcome to the Move Key Message Training Module, Get Active Each Day. If you are undertaking this training module, your service has already completed Module 1, Program Overview of the Staff Development Kit. Please note that this training module will go slightly longer than 20 minutes. Let's get started with some current research related to this key message. On average, young children 1 to 5 years of age in an early childhood education and care service spend 53% of their day sitting and 31% standing, and only 16% of their day moving. I'm sure you may be surprised by the findings of this research. During Training Module 1 Program Overview, we referred to the Get Up and Grow physical activity recommendations, and they've also been included in orange outlined boxes throughout this module. We also referred to the Australian 24-hour movement guidelines, which build upon the Get Up and Grow physical activity recommendations. We'll now be exploring these recommendations in more detail. Let's look at infants' birth to 1 year. The recommendations tell us that for healthy development in infants' birth to 1 year, physical activity, particularly supervised floor-based play in safe environments, should be encouraged from birth. The 24-hour movement guidelines add that this physical activity, including crawling opportunities, should occur several times a day in a variety of ways, and more is better. When infants are engaging in tummy time, educators not only supervise but are interactive in the way they foster this play, encouraging the infant to reach, grasp, push and pull themselves, and that tummy time is included in the infant's day for a total of 30 minutes spread throughout the day while the infant is awake. We also need to consider sedentary behaviour or the times children are not engaged in physical activity. The Get Up and Grow recommendation on your screen tells us that infants should not be sedentary, restrained or kept inactive for more than 1 hour at a time, with the exception of sleeping. The 24-hour movement guidelines add that when infants are sedentary, engaging in pursuits such as reading, singing, puzzles and storytelling with a caregiver is encouraged. The 24-hour movement guidelines also add guidance for sleep for educators and families to be aware of. And for infants under 1, the guideline states that they should have 14 to 17 hours for those aged 0 to 3 months, and 12 to 16 hours for those aged 4 to 11 months of good quality sleep, including naps. In a nutshell, these recommendations and guidelines are aiming to get children physically active from birth and to build on this throughout the early childhood period with limited time spent being inactive. For toddlers and preschoolers who spend most of their daylight hours at the early childhood education and care service, especially during winter, it means getting most of the recommended daily 3 hours of physical activity while they're attending the service. The 24-hour movement guidelines add that for toddlers, this 3 hours or 180 minutes should include energetic play and be spread throughout the day, and that more is better. And for preschoolers, at least 60 minutes of the total 180 minutes should be energetic play, and more physical activity is better. To define what energetic play is, think huff and puff. If they are huffing and puffing while they're playing, this is energetic physical activity. A rule of thumb that you can use is shown on the slide. Children 1 to 5 years of age should spend at least 30% of their time at the early childhood education and care service being physically active, and more if possible, keeping the physical activity recommendations and 24-hour movement guidelines in mind. This translates to 2.5 hours of physical activity if a child is at the service for 8 hours, and 110 minutes of physical activity if they are present for 6 hours. The Get Up and Grow recommendations state toddlers and preschoolers should not be sedentary, restrained or kept inactive for more than 1 hour at a time, with the exception of sleeping. The 24-hour movement guidelines build on this for this age group with the guideline that toddlers and preschoolers should not be sitting for extended periods, and when sedentary, engaging in pursuits such as reading, singing, puzzles and storytelling with a caregiver is encouraged. To ensure the physical activity recommendations and 24-hour movement guidelines are met, we need to consider utilising the indoor and outdoor environments no matter the weather. Being creative with the environment, taking into account available space and time, providing ample opportunities for children to be physically active and be mindful of the length of time children spend in sedentary experiences. The 24-hour movement guidelines also add guidance for sleep for educators and families to be aware of. For toddlers 1 to 2 years, they should have 11 to 14 hours of good quality sleep, including naps, with consistent sleep and wake-up times. For preschoolers 3 to 5 years, they should have at least 10 to 13 hours of good quality sleep, which may include a nap with consistent sleep and wake-up times. Let's explore physical activity for babies birth to 12 months a little further. Remember, even if you don't have babies at your early childhood education and care service, you still need to support service families. There are always lots of baby siblings of the children attending your service. As already discovered, the physical activity recommendation and 24-hour movement guidelines tells us that physical activity and movement is important right from birth. Babies learn movement through touching, looking, listening and moving themselves. And importantly, movement provides sensory messages to the baby's brain, and the developing brain needs these movement experiences to stimulate brain development. Now, we know babies spend a lot of time sleeping and involved in care routines, for example feeding and nappy change, so understanding how important movement is for babies, we need to optimise the opportunities for play and movement when baby is awake, including during care routines. This will assist with the baby's gross motor development and enable them to fully participate in physical activity as they grow. When you rock and sway a baby, the fluid in a baby's inner ear washes over all the tiny hairs and nerve endings and sends messages to the baby's brain about balance and imbalance. This movement experience is stimulating the vestibular system, or the sense of balance within the baby's inner ear. Studies have documented that babies receiving regular vestibular stimulation in the first months of life show accelerated motor skills development as they are receiving increased sensory stimulation. It's important to intentionally plan daily rocking and swaying movement experiences for babies to keep their vestibular system stimulated and to develop their sense of balance and accelerate their motor skills development. Please follow the directions in your green activity box and take 2 minutes to brainstorm why tummy time is such a major part of supervised floor-based play or physical activity for babies before moving on to the next slide. You might like to press pause while undertaking this activity together. Thanks everyone. It's now time to come back together. During your brainstorming, you may have considered some of the blue points listed on the slide. You might like to press pause to add these down for your reference. Tummy time provides babies with so many opportunities to be physically active and for physical development. Importantly, tummy time provides the building blocks for future movement to be built upon. For example, from tummy time, babies will pivot, roll, creep, sit, crawl, stand, walk. From birth, babies should be provided with the opportunity to play on their tummy every day for short periods of supervised time. The time spent in tummy time will increase with age and ability. At first, it may only be 10 seconds and gradually increasing to 10 minutes. When engaging babies in a tummy time experience, it's important to choose a suitable time when babies are not tired or hungry. Interact with the baby while supervising, talking calmly to reassure them that they're okay, encouraging their movement and also assisting with language development. And to use a variety of appropriate and interesting baby toys that encourage the baby to lift his or her head, look, track, reach for and grasp. Also, if a baby isn't happy with tummy time on the floor, try other tummy time methods. For example, tummy time could be undertaken lying across your lap, or lying on your chest, or by holding the baby tummy down along your forearm. We know that from tummy time, children develop the skills required to push up onto their hands and knees and start to crawl. Lots of physical activity. As you can see in the green graph on the slide, crawling helps promote many areas of development, but importantly, crawling involves cross-patterning. The right arm and the left leg go forward, then the left arm and the right leg. This cross-patterning action helps the communicative links that pass information between the two hemispheres of the brain to grow and develop. To ensure children have the opportunity to receive the developmental benefits crawling provides, we need to remember there is no rush to walk. Most babies will crawl for about 400 hours before they walk. So we need to intentionally plan crawling experiences for our crawlers, approximately 9 to 12 months of age. Understanding all the developmental benefits of crawling, as well as promoting physical activity. Remember to share this information with families. From crawling, babies will pull to stand, stand at furniture to play, cruise along furniture, start to balance in standing and take their first steps. It's very, very busy times. Very importantly, babies should be encouraged to explore their environment to promote the use of all of their muscles by moving, stretching and flexing. For this reason, babies should not spend lots of time during the day strapped into a seat, swing or high chair. This is reflected in the physical activity recommendation on the slide. Infants, toddlers and preschool-aged children should not be sedentary, restrained or kept inactive for more than 1 hour at a time, with the exception of sleeping. There are many aspects we need to consider to ensure babies receive the physical activity they need while attending the early childhood education and care service, including we need to intentionally plan physical activity for babies. This will ensure it happens. Knowledge. As educators, it is important that we have a good understanding of children's gross motor development to be able to appropriately support their physical activity. Physical care routines are a perfect opportunity to support physical activity, especially for younger babies. For example, consider the opportunities available during nappy change. We need to use a variety of appropriate and interesting baby toys, resources and songs to stimulate movement, as demonstrated in the photos on the slide. We need to set up the environment to ensure movement is appropriately supported. For example, thinking about the placement of stable furniture for our cruising babies to cruise around. Closely interacting with babies during physically active experiences is vitally important for scaffolding babies' physical development, as well as other areas of development and getting to know the child. Sharing this information with families so they understand the importance of movement for babies and continue these movement experiences at home. Once babies can cruise around a variety of stable furniture and can stand independently, they have the physical ability to walk independently. Walking, walking, walking. This is a new and very exciting time for toddlers. They will spend a lot of time exploring and perfecting this new walking skill. It will certainly help them achieve the physical activity recommendation on the slide. Initially, toddlers will walk with their arms held up high for extra balance. However, as they practice and their balance improves, their arms will come down. Toddlers will experiment with moving up from the floor to standing and back down again, moving from sitting on a chair to standing and back again, walking and then squatting to pick up a toy from the ground, or remaining in the squat position to play for a short time. Toddlers will also experiment with walking in different directions, on different surfaces, and pushing stable push-along toys. Educators need to intentionally plan experiences to support the development of toddlers' independent walking, strengthening their muscles and developing their balance skills. By 2 years of age, toddlers have mastered walking skills and are now exploring many gross motor skills. As reflected in the photos on the slide, older toddlers can jump on the spot, attempt to run, go up and down stairs using 2 feet per step with support, and use their feet to propel and control a toddler bike, and they're starting to play with other children. They're also able to climb on low playground equipment and maintain their balance in sitting to come down a slide. They're beginning to understand how to catch a ball, walk into a ball to kick it, and can throw very short distances. Understanding children's development, particularly physical development, allows educators to intentionally plan appropriate movement experiences for this age group, helping meet children's daily physical activity recommendations. During the preschool years, children are now refining their gross motor skills. As they gain greater control over their body, preschool-age children gain confidence and mobility. Their strength, agility, flexibility, balance and coordination all improve. This is demonstrated in the photos on the slide. Educators need to consider how they're challenging the gross motor skills of preschool children, especially the older preschool-age child. How do you do this? Linking to the blue shaded National Quality Standard boxes on the slide, Element 3.2.2 says, use a variety of equipment and resources creatively to inspire, challenge and refine movement. And Element 2.1.3 tells us that we should be involving preschoolers in the planning for and setting up of physically active experiences, scaffolding at its greatest. An important part of the Get Active Each Day key message is the intentional teaching of fundamental movement skills. Fundamental movement skills, or FMS, are a specific set of skills that involve different body parts. Importantly, FMS are the building blocks or the foundation blocks for more complex and specialised skills to be built upon, skills that are required to play different games, sports and recreational activities offered in later life, at school and in the community. For example, on the left of the slide we have the FMS of overarm throwing. And to the right, we have a diagram detailing all the sports that are based on the FMS of overarm throwing. So being competent and confident in the FMS of overarm throwing allows children to build the skills to participate in the related sports. The earlier that FMS are introduced through play and exploration, the more likely children will be to engage in physical activity throughout their lives, as they will be competent and confident in their FMS. Importantly, children do not naturally learn how to correctly perform fundamental movement skills as part of their normal growth and development. They need to be intentionally taught these skills and given lots of opportunities to explore and practice these skills to eventually become skilled. To develop FMS, children must spend time practicing these skills and be guided and scaffolded by an adult, an educator who understands the key components of these skills, which we'll be exploring shortly. Of course, mastery of FMS is not expected in the early years. In the early years, FMS are all about exposure, exploration, opportunity, guidance, familiarity, and most importantly, fun. So let's now have a closer look at the FMS, because as educators you will need to know exactly what the FMS are to be able to scaffold the children's learning of these skills. As you can see on the slide, there are three categories of FMS: stability skills, locomotor skills, and manipulative skills. The first category, stability skills, are movements where the body remains in place but moves around its horizontal and vertical axis, and includes skills such as stretching, bending, twisting, and balancing. Importantly, stability skills help children develop their locomotor and manipulative skills. The second category, locomotor skills, transport the body from one place to another, and as shown on the slide, include jumping, running, hopping, galloping, leaping, side sliding, and skipping. The third category, manipulative skills, are movements that involve giving force to or from objects and include catching, underarm throwing, overarm throwing, kicking, stationary dribbling, and striking a stationary ball. Upon completion of this training module, please watch your Fun Moves DVD or access the videos via the Munch and Move resources page on the Healthy Kids website, and observe and then practice each of the FMS, as this will ensure you are aware of the components that make up each individual FMS. Importantly, educators do need to know the components of each FMS so you can correctly demonstrate the skill to children and give positive, specific advice that will help correct children's FMS action. We call this the Detect and Correct strategy. The Munch and Move program also provides the Fundamental Movement Skill Cards and Lanyards resource, as shown in the top right-hand corner of the slide. One side of the card provides images of the skill, and the other side of the card lists the components that make up that skill, as shown in the bottom left-hand corner of the slide. The idea is for educators to use this portable fundamental movement skill tool to positively and constructively scaffold the children's FMS development. And this is exactly what the educator in the photos on this slide is doing. As with any skill, children gradually build and develop their FMS as they get older. For example, the FMS of catching has its foundation in a baby's tummy time, as the baby tracks a moving object, as tracking a moving object is a skill you need if you're going to be able to catch an object coming towards you. This catching FMS is then built upon during the toddler period, with the toddler trying to catch a large, soft ball. As a preschool-age child, this child is now more proficient at catching and can be challenged by using smaller balls. Munch and Move recommends that early childhood education and care services plan daily, intentional FMS experiences to ensure all children attending the service have the opportunity to explore, practice and develop these skills. Intentional FMS experiences can be achieved through educator-guided FMS learning experiences, for example, playing What's the Time, Mr. Wolf, and focusing on a locomotor fundamental movement skill such as running or galloping, or engaging a baby in a tummy time experience, which encourages the baby to track a moving object. Intentional FMS experiences can also be achieved through FMS opportunities offered during free play, for example, providing equipment and or resources that you know will encourage certain FMS, such as balls, a hopscotch grid, targets on a wall. Both of these intentional FMS experiences need to be play-based and focus on one or more FMS. Also, be aware of spontaneous opportunities to support children's FMS development. The great thing about intentional FMS experiences is we know that FMS are being promoted, but gross motor development and physical activity is also being supported through these experiences. Now for older toddlers and preschool-age children 2 to 5 years of age, intentional FMS experiences should also be incorporated into a small group experience consisting of a warm-up, FMS move game, and cool down, as per the format on this slide. Let's look at this format with examples. The intentional FMS experience has been planned for older toddlers and preschool-age children whose favourite game is What's the Time, Mr. Wolf. Sometimes the children will play this game on its own, being led by the educator, focusing on one or more FMS, and other times this game will have a warm-up and a cool-down wrapped around it. When planning this type of intentional FMS experience, it is important that all three components are included: warm-up, FMS move game, and cool down. This example format is also included in the Munch and Move resource manual, Birth to 5 Years. Now that we have shared the Get Active Each Day key message training module, please take 5 minutes to begin the reflective practice task on the slide using the hard copy version of this document. You may like to press pause while you undertake this activity together. Thanks everyone. It's now time to come back together. Now you have completed your reflective practice task for this key message, please transfer any identified areas for improvement onto your Early Childhood Education and Care Services Quality Improvement Plan, especially for National Quality Standard 2.1, Health, and its related element 2.1.3, Healthy Lifestyle. And remember, the action plan template can help with this planning. Munch and Move supports the implementation of Get Active Each Day with resources such as learning experiences in the Munch and Move Resource Manual Birth to 5 Years, Get Active Each Day fact sheets, songs on the Munch and Move CD, Fun Moves DVD, FMS cards and lanyard, FMS app, Active Play for Birth to 12 Months posters. These resources and more are available on the Healthy Kids website. Well done everyone! You have completed the key message training module Get Active Each Day. What happens next? Please ensure the record of completion is finalised for this training module. Remember to link the reflective practice task to your service's quality improvement plan. Please select the next key message training module and remember there are 6 key message training modules for you to complete, and schedule a date and time to share this together. Enjoy getting active each day!